Hello, everybody. This is Sam. This is episode 29 of the VictorPrep Vocab podcast. Let's quickly cover the words from episode 28. They were whimsical. Whimsical. Whimsical is a word used to describe a person, and it means given to whimsy or fanciful notions. That means being over-imaginative and unrealistic, changing your mind a lot, being capricious. Fetid. Fetid. That basically means an extremely unpleasant odor, stinking, reeking, or pungent. Pristine. Pristine. That means being like its original state, having its original purity, being undirted, being perfect or immaculate. And our final word from last time was deference. Deference. That means being extremely respectful, submitting to someone out of respect, or yielding to someone else's will or opinion, usually out of respect or to be courteous, often with someone who's more senior in some way than you are. Our first new word for today is wan. Wan. That's spelled W-A-N. Now, wan is almost always used to describe a person, and it refers to the colour of their skin, looking pale or looking sick. So if you describe someone as looking wan, they're often pale, they are looking like maybe they're getting sick, they have a cold, they have a flu. It often means pale. So if you remember when someone was sick, you knew someone who was sick, the colour in their face is different, they maybe have less colour. Some people can almost look yellow when they're sick. So if you describe someone as wan, it means that you're suggesting that they look pale, they look sickly, they have a whitish or greyish shade to their face. It could also mean someone's just looking extremely tired and weak, because wan also implies a weakness or a tiredness. You could also use wan to describe a colour. For example, the light was wan. That would mean the light was weak, it was pale, it wasn't a strong light. Because wan has a connotation of weakness, of illness. So if anything you describe as being wan is dim, it's faint, it's weak, or feeble. Even you could say watery. It's watered down, it's weaker. Another example, someone might give you a wan smile. That would mean a smile that looks weak or tired. A smile that suggests perhaps they're in ill health, and it's a smile they're forcing. Our second word is laud. Laud. That's not Laud, L-O-R-D. This is Laud, L-A-U-D. It's a verb, and laud means to praise. It means, well, it's quite simple, really. If someone's done something good, someone's done something very well, you laud them. A good way of remembering that might be to laud someone is a good thing because it sounds like you're making them a lord, L-O-R-D, i.e. a person of considerable power and wealth usually. So to laud someone is to praise them, to extol them. You laud a child when they do well at school. With laud, there is an implication that the praise is done in a public context. So often a politician might laud another politician in a public context. So yes, there is that connotation to remember that often laud is used with regards to public praise, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't be used in other ways too. Like at home, you could laud your wife for cooking you an amazing meal. Or, the other way around, you could laud your husband for being an amazing cook too. I don't want to be sexist on this podcast, of course. Some synonyms are praise, extol, hail, applaud, acclaim, commend, even a couple of slightly different ones, lionize, that's a good word, and eulogize someone. Our third word today is exonerate. Exonerate. That is spelled E-X-O-N, exon, E-R-A-T-E, erate, exonerate. Exonerate usually refers to someone being absolved of blame of something. So, if you've been accused of doing something bad or wrong, like stealing something, then someone finds out that it wasn't actually you, and then comes out and says, oh, it wasn't Johnny who did this, he's been found innocent, you have been exonerated. It means you've been cleared of whatever bad thing you've been accused of. Often the word exonerate is especially used when referring to an official body, like a court of law in whatever country. And this official body has found that someone wasn't to blame or wasn't at fault, and then they exonerate the person, which means they formally say, oh, we thought this person did a bad thing, but it turns out they didn't. We are officially saying that they are innocent, or that they didn't do the crime or the bad thing. Some synonyms are absolve, clear, acquit, find innocent, or discharge. If you know the word onerous, that might be a good way of remembering exonerate. Onerous means if something is onerous, it's a burden on you. Like imagine carrying a heavy load on your back. It's a burden to you. It's onerous. It's something negative and bad that you have to deal with. Now, exonerate comes from the word onerous, meaning a heavy burden, something unpleasant, and the X at the start of exonerate comes from the Latin meaning from, as in moving away from something. So, exonerate comes from the meaning of away from being onerous. Exonerous. Imagine ex meaning your ex-girlfriend or your ex-boyfriend. It's no longer, that person is no longer your boyfriend or no longer your girlfriend. So exonerate means no longer being onerous. So you've moved away from an onerous situation. I hope that little explanation wasn't too complicated and actually helps you remember that word. Our final word for this episode is analgesia. Analgesia. That is spelled A-N-A-L, anal. Gesia is spelled G-E-S-I-A, analgesia. It is a medical term, and it means no pain, or the absence of pain. So, if you have a headache, and you take some strong painkillers, hopefully they will make the pain go away, you won't feel any more pain. That is analgesia. This word is a noun, by the way. If you go to the dentist, you may get some gas or injections that are analgesic. They prevent you from feeling any pain. Those were our 4 words. Let's quickly go over the meanings. Our first word was wan. That means, when describing a person, showing an unnatural or sickly colour, lacking colour, showing that maybe someone is ill or tired or maybe very unhappy. You could also describe a colour or a light as being wan if it's pale, white, or faint or weak looking. Laud, that is to praise or to extol someone, often publicly. Exonerate. This is usually used to describe an official body who are publicly stating that someone is free from guilt or wrongdoing. They have declared someone innocent of a crime. And our final word was analgesia. Analgesia, that means absence of a sense of pain or being unable to feel any pain. Now, let's go on to our test sentences. I want you to listen to each sentence, listen to the meaning of the sentence, and then think about which word I'm referring to from today's set. After winning the championship, the head coach was acclaimed by the press for his superior tactics in the face of the more skilled opposing team. After years in jail, Ben had fresh hope of freedom after some new evidence was uncovered that indicated his innocence. When I went to the dentist as a child, I was given injections and gas, which numbed all the pain from having my teeth pulled. Awakening after a period in hypersleep, the space traveler was pale and weak. He stumbled through his starship like a newly born deer. Those were all our words for today. I hope that wasn't too difficult for you all. And I want to suggest, as I often do, that you please try and use the words in your day-to-day life. It's way more fun and way more effective at learning words when you're actually using them in your day-to-day life. People use the words bad and good all the time. They're never ever going to forget what those words mean, right? So if you use the word wan or exonerate or laud in your day-to-day life, you will just remember that word. You won't need to study. You won't need to write down any sentences. You won't need to do any of the stuff that people maybe consider boring, because you'll just know the word. It will be part of your life and part of your vocabulary. And having an improved vocabulary is definitely a good thing in your life. It's definitely a bonus. It will help you in every area of your life, especially when it comes to communicating with people, to getting a job, to getting a promotion, to getting your place at school. It's just a fact of life that the people who are better communicators, who are better with language, often end up being more successful in life. Because we're all people, we're all human beings who need to communicate with each other. And the better you are at communicating, the better you are at moving other people's emotions. So don't just think about these podcast episodes as preparation for an exam. These can also help you with a lot of areas of your life if you become a better speaker of English. Please do send any feedback to me directly by email. That's sam.fold@gmail.com. Don't forget to write a review on the iTunes page if you enjoy the podcast, because that will help the podcast to become more featured on iTunes, which again helps me get more listeners and helps me help more people around the world with learning English and improving their vocabulary. So that would be really appreciated. Please also check out the Facebook page, which is at Facebook.com/VictorPrep Learning, I think is the full URL. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing well wherever you are. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.